Hello, my name is Dr. Briscoe. I am a teacher at Suncoast Community High School in Riviera Beach, Florida. We're on topic 2.2. We're going to do the first video of the topic today, which is structures, powers, and functions of Congress. Specifically, we're going to look at how the differences in structures, powers, and functions of the two houses affect policy making in Congress. So last time we looked in topic 2.1, we talked about some of that structure and looked at specifics in terms of the sizes of the chambers, what the constituents were for the House and the Senate and how they were different, and then also those term lengths. And some of that will come up again also in this video. So we, in terms of content, are going to be describing and explaining the different structures, powers, and functions of each house, the constitutional responsibilities, want to be able to explain those, and then also explain how there are chamber-specific rules and procedures and roles that also impact policy making. So I've highlighted here with our task verb the two that we are going to be using. Describe, provide relevant characteristics of a specified topic, and explain, provide information about how or why a relationship, process, pattern, position, situation, or outcome occurs using evidence and or reasoning. So what will we learn? You'll be able to answer the following questions by the time we get through this video, and you'll have to come back and maybe take a deeper look at some of the information that is presented. So when we look at the structure of Congress, it was mostly left to Congress and the Constitution to determine what that was going to look like. A few things were specified. There's going to be a speaker. The members of the House are going to choose that person and the other officers, and we've got that power of impeachment. The Senate is also going to choose their officers. There'll be a president pro tempore who really acts as the president, since we know the vice president really doesn't get involved with the Senate until there needs to be a tie broken, and then each house is going to determine its own rules, how to punish its members or remove members if they choose to do so. In Article 1, Section 7, it gives a little bit more detail about how a law kind of gets moved through and ends up with the president. Just a couple things to point out. It does specify that how the voting is going to be done, and that the votes need to be recorded, and that the president has 10 days, except for Sundays, to sign or veto legislation. So we're on the left with legislate. That's what we're looking at, and how the structures and processes impact how that lawmaking is done. You can take a look at this later, but I've just kind of outlined some of the things we talked about before in terms of the powers of both of the bodies. But let's just take a look real quick here. I've got filibuster over here as a power of the Senate, and then over here the cloture rule. That is the ability to stop the filibuster should a majority of the members decide to do so. So another thing that is important and difference is to note that in the House you can only add amendments that have something to do with the topic at hand, that is germane, where in the Senate you can add amendments on any subject, doesn't matter what it is that is being dealt with at hand. Just had an outline here of congressional leadership. House and the Senate is very similar in terms of the distinctions between the minority side and the majority side. We've got the Speaker of the House, of course, at the top, and then the President pro tempore up underneath the Vice President, who was the formal leader of the Senate. And then those distinctions we talked about, where we've got Republicans calling their groupings a conference and the Democrats calling their groupings a caucus. Various types of committees, standing committees or permanent committees. We've got the House Rules Committee that only exists in the House, and it's very important in terms of setting the rules for when bills are going to be voted on, and how much time will be allowed for debate on that. Then we've got select committees that come together for a specific purpose and then go away, and then joint committees that have membership of both of the houses. in terms of the organization of work that is getting the policy making done, we've seen there being an increase in structures just because we've got an increase in the amount of work that the Congress has to do. We're talking about thousands and thousands of pieces of legislation that could be introduced. Doesn't mean it's going to be passed. It's all not, but they have to have some pretty significant structure in place to make sure that that does get done. You want to come back and take a look at this. It talks about structures, institutions, and processes and how that can lead to a positive in terms of meeting an agenda or passing policy, or a negative in terms of moving away from what the majority party wants to see happen, and then also how you can block legislation. So let's take a look at some multiple choice questions here. The term bicameralism refers to the establishment of two legislative chambers that have different structures and rules. The Constitution says that all revenue bills must originate in, and that is going to be the House of Representatives. We've got that visual that we saw earlier, and then the question is, which of the following is true according to the diagram? And I'm just going to go ahead and give you this one. Both chambers make use of a system of majority and minority whips. So you'll come back and read those other choices, and you'll know why those are incorrect. A difference between the House and the Senate is that in the House, we have legislative activity on the floor needing to be more constrained by rules, that is more formal, because they've got more members and they have to be more formal to get things done. So what should you take away? You know about the structures, the powers and the functions. I've got them outlined at the top for the House of Representatives and then at the bottom for the Senate. So you just want to, be able to, when asked, know what those structures, powers, and functions are and how they are different between the branches, and what does that mean in terms of their ability to make legislation. And then here we have just answering that question, where we have the specifics of the House and specifics of the Senate and what that means in terms of what they can do with their work. All right, so we're back where it was that we started, and we've got our descriptions and our two explanations regarding the structures, powers, and functions of Congress. And I thank you and see you next time.